What it do, people? Thank you for tuning to the Payout Podcast, chilling with your host Trouble. Today's date, May 3rd, 2026. Got two games on deck. Game 7s. Win or go home. Somebody going to Cancun. So let's go ahead and handicap these games, man. We got two games, like I said. We got Orlando, Detroit. We got Toronto, Cleveland. We'll go ahead and start with Orlando, Detroit. Obviously tied 3-3, game 7. Head-to-head last 10. 5-5 straight up last 10. Orlando 6-3-1 against the spread last 10, and the under is 8-2 last 10. Now Orlando 5-2 against the spread last 9. Orlando 5-2 last 7 against the spread versus Detroit. Orlando 7-2 against the spread last 9 versus Central, and Orlando 3-6 against the spread last 9 on Sundays. Now on the road, Orlando is 20-24 against the spread away from home overall. Now Detroit's profile, they're 2-5 against the spread last 7. 1-6 against the spread last 7 in May, 1-4 against the spread last 5 on Sundays, but they're 6-1 straight up last 7 at home, and they're 22-22 against the spread at home overall this season. Now my personal line in this game is Detroit -5. Vegas opened up Detroit -8.5. Now in this game, kind of tough, man. Orlando had a tough second half last game. I don't understand. I think Portland had a game like that. You up 20 at half, and you end up getting squabbled in the second half. I don't understand it. I don't understand the mentality at home at that. Both teams, it's tough. It's tough. Then obviously the next game, Portland came out and folded in San Antonio. Does Orlando do the same thing? I know Franz is out again, game 7. It's tough. It's like I'm on both sides, man. I want to kind of look at that San Antonio series when I'm handicapping that, but also want to understand that Portland kind of went through the same thing, but Orlando had those the tournament games to get into the AC, and I kind of want to think that they kind of botched the first game on purpose to get Detroit versus playing Boston. Even though it worked out, Philly beat Boston, getting to the next round. Orlando has a great chance of knocking off the 1 seed. And obviously, in hindsight, I would rather play Detroit than Boston as well. It's tough, but I'm going to go ahead and roll with Detroit at home -8.5, man. It looked, like I said, I don't want to pull from the San Antonio series, but the way that game 6 went in Orlando is the same kind of way that game went in Portland, the previous games, to them getting blown out up 20 at half, and you get squabbled in the second half. I don't understand it. And the next game, Portland came out flat and got squabbled again. I'm thinking Orlando probably gonna have the same scenario pretty much. They don't get the reinforcements with Franz coming back, so they're handicapped on the road. Lost 2 in a row. You gave up your series lead. It's tied game 7 pretty much. You gave up the home court advantage. You took away game 1. I just think it's flatline. Time for them. Orlando's peaked out. We know the inconsistencies of them. Let's hope Detroit shows up, man. Let's hope their role players show up more than anything, man. They had a great second half on the road. They're due a home game. The Dennis Jenkins of the world, the Isaiah Stewarts of the world, the Duncan Robinsons. More than he hit a couple threes. He's doing his thing, but the Javante, we need those players. The Javante Greens, we need those players to step up. So let's go ahead and book Detroit -8.5 at home to go ahead and close out Orlando. I think Orlando running out of gas. Now the second game we're gonna handicap, obviously juicy game, man. Juicy game. I don't think Cleveland got it. I don't think they want it, man. They don't want it. They letting the hobble Toronto beat them. I mean, if you ask me, Toronto's played the best road game in this series. Cleveland probably led game 6, 2 minutes at the most, maybe, if you want to be real. Toronto pretty much led the entire game 5 up until the fourth quarter. So I just think Toronto played the best the best road game in this series. But let's go ahead and handicap this. Head-to-head last 10. Toronto 6-4 straight up last 10. Toronto 7-3 against the spread last 10, and the over is 6-4. Now Toronto 4-1 against the spread last 5. Toronto 4-1 against the spread last 5 versus Cleveland. Toronto 6-3 straight up last 9 versus Cleveland. Toronto 5-2 against the spread last 7 versus the Eastern Conference. Toronto 10-4-1 against the spread last 15 in May, and they're 23-21 against the spread away from home overall. Now Cleveland is 1-4 against the spread last 5, 7-0 straight up last 7 at home, 5-11 against the spread last 16 versus the Eastern Conference, 1-5 against the spread last 6 in May, and they're 18-25-1 against the spread at home overall. Now my personal line in this game, I got Cleveland -2. Vegas opened up Cleveland -8. Believe it or not, I actually got Toronto rated higher than Cleveland in the power rate, in my personal power rate. Believe it or not, if you don't believe me. Obviously, you got home court advantage with Cleveland. I got a -2. Home court advantage, with Cleveland getting that. I just think Toronto's not necessarily better than Cleveland. I'm not going to say that. I just think it's a bad matchup. Cleveland, I've been saying this since the beginning of the series. Cleveland is small at the guard position, man. And unless you're going to go out there and go hit 40 plus from 3, they don't have enough reinforcements to stop the perimeter play from getting to the basket. They have a couple players that can stop the basket, stop players at the basket, but you only got 6 fouls, and they only got 2 players who can guard the basket, and them 2 players only equal 12 fouls. So if Toronto is relentlessly going to be going at the basket, but then at the same time got Jacoby Walters out there hitting that 3 like he did in Game 5, he was on fire Cleveland first half. Obviously Toronto, Brandon Ingram getting hurt and Scotty getting nicked up kind of hurt them in that fourth quarter. Because Cleveland would be grass to me right now. They'd be dug up right now if those basketball guys didn't answer the call for them in that game, man. They were down. They were down. Brandon Ingram going down, and then Scotty bumping his knee kind of answered the prayer for them. Game 6, they should have won in overtime, if you ask me. Obviously, RJ Barrett got a prayer answer for him, but this is different than the Orlando series. Toronto's fighting them. I called this series the dog money line. I called Minnesota as a dog money line to beat Denver straight up as a series, whatever price you get. If you took it, I don't know, and then I called Toronto to beat Cleveland money line before these series started. Rewind it back when the playoffs started. My first episode of the playoffs, I had Toronto and I'm in Minnesota beating those teams for the series. Minnesota's already completed it with being depleted in the middle of the series, not Game 7 in the middle of the series, Game 4 or 5. They still pulled it out, and now we got Toronto at the finish line. Win, lose, or draw, man. I think they learned a lot in this series. They gained a lot in this series. They gained a lot of mental, a lot of confidence. The coach coached well, man. The first 2 games were shaky. I do think they could have played good the first 2 games. Not saying they should have won either one of those games, but they redeemed themselves by winning all their home games. And what more can you say against a team that has the expectations of the Cavaliers to protect home court advantage to push to a Game 7, and like I said, also have the best home game or the best road game played in this series has been played by Toronto. So I'm gonna go ahead and take Toronto +8. I don't know if I like them on the money line though, man. I have to be honest with myself and say that Brandon Ingram being out has to catch up at some point. Scotty didn't have his best game last game, but everybody else showed up. RJ Barrett showed up, the rookie showed up, big man Boyle showed up. It's hard for me to think that Cleveland is going. Boston obviously lost, but JT not playing that Game 7 was the basketball guy. They've been answering the call all playoffs so far. The players that you don't think, KD going out one game and entire, it's just crazy. But I just think that at some point that situation has to catch up to Toronto. Cleveland doesn't have any injuries. They're fully healthy. What I will question is Cleveland coaching has been horrible. Obviously Dennis Schroeder should be getting more time. Not saying James Harden should be getting less, but I just think that Dennis Schroeder should be getting more time on the ball because he could create, and he's just more deliberate with what he wants to do. James Harden dances too much. Schroeder gets to the point. He'll dance on you for a second, but he gets to the point. And if he can't get to the point, he's gonna give it up. James Harden, he'll drag it, and he's been dragging it. It is what it is. But go ahead and give me Toronto +8. Man, I say I don't have confidence in them, man. I mean, me as a gambler, I would say I would sprinkle a little bit on the money line. This game 7. We just watched Philly go in Boston and put them out, but it's reversed. Toronto is the team with the player that's out, with the pretty much best player, second best player, 1A, 1B out. So it's tough for me to think that Toronto has enough goal in their current situation. Taking a team like Cleveland in Game 7, this game just looks like a stepping stone for a next season run to get to a second or third round, like Indiana did the previous last year. So I'm gonna take Toronto +8, and I will actually might parlay Cleveland money line with Toronto +8 as a parlay 2-teamer. I actually do like that. I do think Cleveland pulled this game out on the money line. Obviously, the money line is going to be big, but like I said, I like Toronto to cover the 8. I think they have a lot of fight in them. They have a clear advantage in the post. Evan does his thing, but I don't think they dominate enough for Toronto. Boyle pretty much matches him point for point at this point. The rookie's matching Evan Mobley point for point. If not, maybe he's down 2 or 3 per game. He's probably putting up 15 plus. Mobley's barely his over unders at 16.5 every game. So I just think that they match up well in the paint. That's the difference. Unless Donovan Mitchell's going to show up and put up a 40, which probably nobody in Toronto can do. He's pretty much playing average right now, 20, barely cracking 20. So he's not being the difference in this series, and that's why it's at a Game 7. I'm not going to blame James Harden. I'm going to blame Donovan Mitchell, because if Donovan Mitchell was going 35 plus, 30 plus, 7 assists and 8 rebounds, something like that, then I would be blaming James Harden. But Donovan Mitchell's playing way below his value. So I just think that it's a whole team thing. I think they're underestimating Toronto. It's a bad matchup. Like I said, nobody's giving Toronto credit in this series. All the people I talk to are not giving Toronto credit. They think I'm gonna say Cleveland fumbling the bag, but I'm gonna also rewind. I said Toronto matches up against Cleveland, and that's why I picked Toronto to upset them. I didn't just pull it out of my butt and say, yeah, Toronto's going to beat them. No, I would have did that to every series then, just to say I'm going to go whatever for whatever. I might be up plus money if I take every dog, but no, I just think that they match up well, man. I think the small guards in today's NBA, you can't have a whole backup off the bench as well. They have no big guards, man. I don't think Strus is necessarily a guard. He's decent, but he's not a guard to me. He's a small forward in today's NBA. You know, their first 4 guards are all 6'3", 6'5", and under, man. I'm gonna say James Harden 6'5", so 6'5", Donovan Mitchell 6'3", Schroeder 6 foot, and then you got Keon 6'2", Ellis maybe 6'4", maybe 6'5", maybe. So, but they're not bruising 6'5". They're not like RJ. He's going to the paint. Scotty is same size as Evan Mobley. You know, Brandon Ingram the same size as Evan Mobley. Whatever the European dude off the bench, I don't want to butcher his name. He's 6'11". The other dude, the starter European dude, 6'11". The rookie 6'9", 6 foot. I mean, they're huge as compared to Cleveland. So it's a bad matchup. So Toronto +8. Sorry to ramble, but just got to fill in a little bit of time, let you guys know where my head at on these games. So I'm gonna go ahead and recap the games today. We're gonna go ahead and take Detroit at home to finally cover a big spread in this series, man, on purpose. Not just the other team fumbling the bag. I think Orlando's peaked out. I think that second half last game, you can't do nothing but argue in the locker room after that game or just be quiet. You can't go into the locker room saying, man, let's go, bull. You know, I just think you got to either argue with each other or you being quiet. It's one or the other. But I'm going to just go ahead and use recency bias based on the San Antonio Portland. Portland was up 20, got outscored in the second half by 40. So next game got blew out. So I'm just going to expect them to do the same thing. So like I said, we're going to take Detroit at home -8.5. Second game, we take a Toronto +8 to go ahead and cover in this Game 7. And then, you know, if you want to go ahead and believe Cleveland money line, I'll parlay Cleveland money line with Toronto +8 just to add a little, just to get it to the plus money range. I do like Cleveland the money line, just don't like them +8. Now, like I said, man, I do appreciate you guys giving me your time today. Chilling with your boy Trouble, Total Payout Podcast. Today's date, May 3rd, 2026. Great day, man. Great Sunday. Beautiful day. Please give me a like, comment, and subscribe at the end of this video. I greatly appreciate it. Greatly appreciate you guys giving me a couple minutes out the day. It's a lot. It's only 24 hours. I greatly appreciate you guys giving me a couple minutes out of it. And then also, man, you guys, like I always say, please stay out the way. Thank you.
Hey, Rick and Thad.